Before the housemaid had lit their fire the next day, Marianne, only half-dressed, was writing as fast as a continual flow of tears would permit her. Elinor, roused from her sleep by agitation and sobs, said in a tone of the most considerate gentleness, "Marianne, may I ask—" "No, Elinor," she replied. "Ask nothing. You will soon know all." At breakfast she neither ate nor attempted to eat anything. As this was a favourite meal with Mrs. Jennings, it lasted a considerable time, and they were just setting themselves after it round the common working table when a letter was delivered to Marianne, which she eagerly caught from the servant, and, turning a death-like paleness, instantly ran out of the room. "Upon my word," said Mrs. Jennings, "I never saw a young woman so desperately in love in my life. Pray, when are they to be married?" Elinor replied, "I do assure you that nothing would surprise me more than to hear of their going to be married." "For shame, Miss Dashwood! How can you talk so? Don't we all know that it must be a match?" "Indeed, ma'am," said Elinor very seriously, "you are mistaken." Elinor had no spirits to say more, and hurried away to their room, where, on opening the door, she saw Marianne stretched on the bed, almost choked by grief, one letter in her hand and 2 or 3 others lying by her. She put all the letters into Elinor's hands, and then, covering her face with her handkerchief, almost screamed with agony. Elinor read as follows. "My dear Madam, I have just had the honour of receiving your letter, for which I beg to return my sincere acknowledgments. I am much concerned to find that there was anything in my behaviour last night that did not meet your approbation. My esteem for your whole family is very sincere, but if I have been so unfortunate as to give rise to a belief of more than I felt or meant to express, I shall reproach myself for not having been more guarded in my professions of that esteem. That I should have ever meant more you will allow to be impossible, when you understand that my affections have long been engaged elsewhere, and it will not be many weeks, I believe, before this engagement is fulfilled. It is with great regret that I obey your commands of returning the letters with which I have been honoured from you, and the lock of hair which you so obligingly bestowed upon me. I am, dear madam, your most obedient humble servant, John Willoughby." With what indignation such a letter as this must be read by Miss Dashwood may be imagined. "I only wish," said Elinor, "there were anything I could do which might be of comfort to you." Marianne could only exclaim, "Oh, Elinor, I am miserable indeed," before her voice was entirely lost in sobs. Elinor could no longer witness this torrent of unresisted grief in silence. "Exert yourself, dear Marianne," she cried. "Think of your mother. Think of her misery while you suffer." "Oh, how easy for those who have no sorrow of their own to talk of exertion! Happy, happy Elinor! You can have no idea of what I suffer." "Do you call me happy, Marianne? Ah, if you knew. And can you believe me to be so while I see you so wretched?" "Forgive me, forgive me," throwing her arms around her sister's neck. "I know you feel for me, but you must be happy. Edward loves you. What, oh, what can do away such happiness as that?" Many circumstances," said Elinor solemnly. "No, no, no," cried Marianne wildly. "He loves you, and only you. You can have no grief." "I can have no pleasure while I see you in this state." "And you will never see me otherwise. Mine is a misery which nothing can do away." "You must not talk so, Marianne. Think of what you would have suffered if the discovery of his character had been delayed to a later period, if your engagement had carried on for months and months." "Engagement?" cried Marianne. "There has been no engagement."